Got little kids on a road trip to the Boys and Girls Club in Laurel, Maryland. It's been a while.
The other day, we took the kids on a road trip to the Boys and Girls Club in Law, Maryland. It had been a while since we'd seen the crew, and there was a certain excitement in the air. Little did we know, things were about to take a dramatic turn in the world of boxing, with a decision that would send shockwaves through the sport. Let me break it down for you. In one of the most shocking moves of his career, Gervonta "Tank" Davis made the decision to part ways with his longtime coach and mentor, Calvin Ford. The man who helped mold Tank into the superstar he is today, the one who stood by his side through every fight, every controversy, and every championship victory, he's out. And trust me, this isn't just some mutual decision like Tank would have people believe. We know this because Calvin Ford himself went live, and watching that stream was heartbreaking. The trainer, who had poured his heart and soul into Tank's career, was visibly torn, struggling to even find the words to describe the end of their journey together. What made it even more gut-wrenching was hearing Calvin's voice crack as he spoke about their split. The pain in his eyes and voice was clear. This wasn't a man choosing to walk away, this was a man who felt forced to let go of a fighter he considered a son. It was raw, it was real, and it was emotional. Calvin Ford had been there for Tank since he was a teenager, watching him go from a kid with potential to a world champion. The bond they shared was deeper than just coach and fighter, it was father and son. And to see that breakdown was truly a sight to behold. Calvin Ford went live, and his words hit like a ton of bricks. "Tank don't look at me as just a coach," he said. "He looks at me as a dad. But do you think my son is supposed to take care of me? It doesn't feel right." You could hear the struggle in his voice, trying to articulate how he felt about everything that had transpired. Calvin was a man of the streets, a hustler. He wasn't just a boxing coach. He was a mentor who had seen Tank through some of the toughest times of his life. He had watched Tank lose his house, his wife, his family, and Calvin had been right there beside him, helping him navigate it all. And yet, here they were, with their relationship falling apart. But why would Tank, a fighter who owed so much of his success to Calvin, suddenly cut ties with the man who had helped shape his career? That's the question on everyone's mind. It seems like there's more to the story than what we're being told. Could Tank be repeating the same mistakes he made in the past? Remember his fallout with Floyd Mayweather? It's not too far-fetched to think this could be history repeating itself. And then there's the retirement talk. Tank has been hinting at retiring for months now. Could his decision to part ways with Calvin Ford be a sign that he's ready to leave the sport for good? It's a lot to unpack, and we're breaking it down, starting with the emotional fallout that has left everyone stunned. The split didn't come out of nowhere. Fans have been whispering for weeks about the tension between Tank and Calvin Ford. The signs were all there, especially during Tank's official face-off with Lamont Roach, his upcoming opponent for a big fight on March 1st. Reporters asked Tank if Calvin would be training him for the fight, and Tank's response was shocking. "I don't know," he said, sounding uncertain. "We'll see." Those words sent red flags up everywhere. Fans immediately began speculating that something serious was going on behind the scenes. Was this just a small disagreement, or was there more to it? It wasn't long before Calvin Ford's Instagram Live confirmed the worst fears of fans. The legendary trainer, the man who built Tank from the ground up, went live and broke down in tears as he talked about parting ways with his fighter. It was a moment that truly captured the raw emotion of someone who had poured years of their life into shaping another person's career. Calvin's voice shook as he spoke about how Tank had become like a son to him, and now that bond had been shattered. This wasn't just a coach-fighter relationship, it was a deep, personal connection. Calvin Ford wasn't just Tank's trainer, he was his mentor, his father figure, his rock. He had been with Tank through it all, from his humble beginnings in Baltimore to his rise as one of boxing's most feared punchers. Calvin had been there when Tank won his first world title in 2017, and he was there for every victory after that. But now, that relationship was over. What could have happened to tear them apart? We don't know all the details, but one thing is clear. This is more than just a business decision. Sure, it could be about money, contracts, or the cutthroat nature of boxing, but it feels like there's something deeper going on here. Loyalty. The very thing that made their relationship so special seems to have been broken. It's worth mentioning that Tank's relationship with Calvin Ford wasn't just about boxing. This was about loyalty and trust, two things that can make or break any relationship. Tank has always had a tight circle, and Calvin was at the heart of that circle. But now we're left wondering if there's more to this split than meets the eye. The tension between Tank and Floyd Mayweather is another key part of this story. Remember when Floyd took Tank under his wing? It was supposed to be a perfect pairing. Floyd, one of the greatest boxers of all time, mentoring Tank, the next big thing in boxing. But as Tank's star began to rise, tensions between the two started to surface. Floyd had his own ideas about how Tank's career should be managed, and Tank wasn't always on the same page. Over time, the relationship between Floyd and Tank became strained. Floyd started speaking for Tank at press conferences, acting as though he was the face of Tank's career rather than just his promoter. Tank pushed back, and as Tank grew more confident, the cracks in their relationship became more apparent. Tank started calling Floyd controlling and manipulative, and the tension reached its peak when Tank left Mayweather Promotions in 2022. It wasn't an easy decision, but Tank made it clear that he wanted to be independent. Floyd wasn't happy about it, but Tank moved on, determined to take control of his own career. And now we're seeing a similar situation with Calvin Ford. Just like with Floyd, Tank and Calvin's relationship seemed to be on solid ground until it wasn't. The fallout seemed mutual at first, but now it's clear that there's more going on beneath the surface. Is Tank making these decisions on his own, or is there someone else behind the scenes pulling the strings? That's the big question. Tank has a history of walking away from people who have helped him, and this situation with Calvin Ford feels eerily similar to what happened with Floyd. But this time, it could cost him everything. The retirement talk is another huge factor in all of this. Tank recently revealed that he plans to retire after his second fight in 2025. That's right, Tank, the undefeated knockout artist, the face of boxing, is already planning his exit from the sport. If that's the case, it would explain a lot about the fallout with Calvin Ford. Calvin Ford invested everything into Tank's career. He built Tank from the ground up, shaping him into the fighter he is today. But if Tank is already thinking about retirement, maybe he and Calvin just weren't on the same page anymore. Calvin might have seen years of dominance ahead, while Tank was already thinking about life beyond boxing. If Tank is truly one foot out the door, then maybe Calvin realized it was time to let go, even if it hurt to do so. But was it the right decision? Only time will tell. What do you think? Did Tank make the right move by letting Calvin Ford go? Or is this going to backfire on him down the road? And do you think Floyd Mayweather had anything to do with this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the discussion going. If you love boxing drama, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next video.